How do you create a 120-degree angle on a table saw? That's what I was trying to figure out when I decided to build a three-sided column for the first time. It sounds kind of tricky, but once you learn how to set it up, it's not that hard. In fact, I'm going to show you how. Now, most of the time we're cutting 90s, square, straight, and simple, but every once in a while it's fun to step outside the box and try something different. A 120-degree angle is what you'd use for a triangle shape. Think plant stands, lamp bases, or decorative columns. Even if you never build one, learning how to do it gives you a better feel for angles and layouts in general. So, let's walk through how I set it up and made it work. One of the first things we have to do is find our angle. So let's start by doing a little bit of math. Every circle has 360 degrees. So if you're doing a square, you have to divide your 360 by 4. That's where your 90-degree angles come into play. 4 times 9 is 36. So 4 90-degree angles make 360 degrees for your full enclosure. The problem is we have to divide our circle into 3 sides like this because we want to have a three-sided column. 360 degrees divided by 3 is a 120-degree angle on each corner. 120 degree is much harder to do, and I wanted to show you how I came up with the ability to make my 120-degree corner. In order to create our 120-degree corner, we have to cut a 60-degree angle on the end of each one of our boards in order to get that 120-degree angle. Now, just to show you, if this is the table saw here, here's my table saw fence, here's the blade, and we have it set at 60 degrees, we have to stand the board up in order to cut that 60 degrees. That's very hard to do, especially the fact that you have a very sharp corner down here that's going to be on the saw. Hard to keep your board level. It's not actually a very safe cut this way. So let me show you how I solved the safety issue but still managed to get my 120-degree angle. What I did is I cut my board differently. Now here's the saw blade, here's our table saw, here's my little fence, and I laid the board flat on the saw and still had my blade set at 60 degrees and cut it this way. What that gave me was a 60-degree angle on the end of my board, a 60-degree angle on the end of my board here. Actually a 30-degree. It's not a 60, it's a 30-degree angle. But it creates a 60-degree angle for both ways, so we still end up with a 120-degree corner. Let's go to the table saw, make these cuts, and show you how this corner comes out. Now, in order for the corner to be equal, we have to make sure that the distance from this point to the end of our board is the same from this point to the end of our board, and then our corner will be the same. We have a little flat spot at the end of our corner, and actually looks very nice when we do it that way. It gives us a little flat corner on the end and adds to the decoration of our column. Using our digital angle finder, we zero it out to the tabletop, then we stick it to the side of our blade. So our blade is 90 degrees. Now we need to set that at 60 degrees. Okay, the nice thing about these digital finders is you can fine-tune that to exactly our 60 degrees. We're at 559 degrees, 0.9. Okay, right in between there is going to be our 60-degree angle. Okay, we have our saw blade set, ready to go. We'll turn on our dust collector and cut. We have our angle cuts made and our pieces cut to the width that we want them. We're going to be putting them together like this. And when we put the corners together, we end up with a corner that looks like this. Here's our angle, here's our angle, here's our little flat end. There's the inside of it right there. And we're going to make these pieces into a little face frame to make the side of our column. So I made some little face frame pieces here. They're going to go together like this and this. We're just going to screw them just like we would any face frame with pocket screws. In fact, I have one already all done, and this is what it looks like. Okay, let's go ahead and get the other one put together and show you how it looks. I have two of the sides. I've just taped these together. Here is your 120-degree angle here. And so there'll be one more side that goes back here. And here's the inside. There's our corner that we just talked about that makes that 120-degree corner. And this will be a three-sided column. Here's the other side that I have. I'm just going to nail a panel on the inside of it just so that we can see what it will look like as a solid column. Let's come back and take a look at it all together. Okay, I have it all nailed together. I puttied some of the nail holes and I sanded it out so you could get an idea of what it would look like. There's our top so you can see how it looks. There's our joints. Panel, panel, and panel. When you're talking about thinking outside the box, this is far from being in the box. All right, you know, sometimes it's just fun to play around and experiment and see what you can do. And we'll see you next time when we see what we can do on Woodworking with Wes.